All right, joining me now with Reaction Radio talk show host Dana Loesch and Democratic strategist Christy Setzer is with us. Christy, it sounds, when he sounds like scouring the budget to save all that money, it reminds me of OJ looking for the real killers in the golf course, because he's living a pretty extravagant lifestyle, isn't he?
I don't think he is. I think he's living the same lifestyle as everyone else who has graced the office of the White House. Sean?
Yeah, all right, Martha's Vineyard, big expensive vacations, Hawaii, while 50 million Americans, Dana, are on food stamps.
Right. The fact is
a really
that
confusing
conservatives seem to have conservatives seem to have a pretty big double standard on this issue, Sean. The fact is that George Bush actually holds the record of all presidents for going on vacation. He has been on vacation 4 months out of every year.
Those numbers are phony.
One-third of his presidency.
No.
George Bush was on vacation, whereas President Obama takes 2 to 3 weeks per year, about the same as the rest of us.
We have to set that record straight.
The same as the rest of us.
We have to set that record straight. Christy, bless your heart.
I would love
No, we have to set that record straight. First of all, George Bush didn't go to Hawaii. He didn't go to Martha's Vineyard. He certainly didn't go to Spain. He didn't go to Atlantis. Christy, come on,
let her talk.
He didn't go to all of these places. Do you know where George Bush went, Christy? George Bush went to his ranch in Texas. And you know what George Bush did on his ranch in Texas, Christy? Christy, do you know what he did on his ranch?
Yes,
he chopped wood. He went to his own home.
You got to let her talk. One at a time. Our audience needs to hear. All right, go ahead, Dana, finish your thought.
These manners, Sean.
I'm trying.
Yes, he went back to his own ranch. He went back to his own ranch. Christy, I realize that an assertive conservative woman makes you feel uncomfortable, and you feel like you have to constantly interrupt me, but it's not going to work. Did you not see Incredibles? Monologuing doesn't work.
Christy,
now I'm going to continue with my point, and you're going to listen.
Let her talk.
First and foremost, George Bush went to his ranch on Texas. Christy, let's act like a lady. Okay, George Bush went to his ranch in Texas, and he chopped wood, and he cleared brush, and he was in contact. He had a situation room at his ranch in Texas. He was in constant contact with his administration. He was in constant contact with his cabinet. Now, Barack Obama, if you remember back, in 2009 he was, when we had that almost terrorist attack on a flight that was going from Amsterdam to Detroit, and the president was vacationing in Hawaii, and it took him days, Christy, to even make an announcement about that.
Do you want to talk about other Republicans?
Hang on.
We can talk about
it. Didn't work.
One at a time. All right, listen,
I'll let you talk, Christy, and I'll show you how manners work.
We got to go one at a time. Our audience wants to hear from both of you. We have plenty of time. Let me go to the president today in Phoenix, and where repeated phony scandals. And why we play this, think of 4 dead Americans in Benghazi, that people that were targeted by the IRS because of their political views, and ask yourself, think of Brian Terry, who lost his life. Are these really phony scandals? Here's the president again.
Unfortunately, for the last year or so, we've had an endless parade of distractions and political posturing and phony scandals that shift focus away from what do we need to do to shore up middle-class families and create ladders of opportunity for folks to get in the middle class. And as Washington heads towards another budget debate, the stakes could not be higher.
That a phony scandal for those 4 people, 5 people, if you include Brian Terry, the lost family members, Christy?
The majority of Americans think it is, Sean. The fact is that if you ask most people right now, they will say that Republicans will do anything to take down the president, even if it means hurting the economy or doing things that ultimately hurt them. That's a big problem for Republicans, and I think they understand what's happening here.
Dana?
I'm so tired of hearing the phony scandal remark from the left. I find it really insulting when you consider the NSA, when you consider the IRS, when you consider Benghazi. If it's such a phony scandal, I really wish that people like Christy and the president would bring out Sean Smith and show him to his mother so she doesn't have to go on national television and publicly mourn him and ask the president what happened to her lost son. No, these phony scandals, we're talking about the IRS, who actually already admitted wrongdoing. We're talking to whistleblowers within the NSA, within the CIA. I'm so tired of hearing this phrase. It's all deflection. These are real scandals affecting real people and affecting the economy.
All right, let me go to the other issue that we have here, and that is, all right, so it seems to me that Al-Qaeda has America on the run right now, but there were 2 issues that the president and vice president ran on. One was Al-Qaeda is pretty much, well, done, defeated. Listen.
Most of Al-Qaeda's top lieutenants have been defeated.
I said that I'd go after bin Laden if we had a clear shot at him, and I did.
The goal that I set to defeat al-Qaeda and deny it a chance to rebuild is now within our reach. Thanks to Air Force personnel who did their part, Osama bin Laden is no longer a threat to our country. We've put al-Qaeda on the path to defeat.
Osama bin Laden is dead and General Motors is alive.
Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and Osama bin Laden is dead. Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and Osama bin Laden is dead.
We've decimated al-Qaeda Central. We have eliminated Osama bin Laden. That was our purpose.
All right, they ran on that, and they ran on saving Detroit. Listen to this.
When my opponents and others were arguing that we should let Detroit go bankrupt, we made a bet on American workers and the ingenuity of American companies, and today our auto industry is back on top of the world.
We refused to throw in the towel and do nothing. We refused to let Detroit go bankrupt. I bet on American workers and American ingenuity, and 3 years later, that bet is paying off in a big way.
All right, Dana, Detroit is still bankrupt, and al-Qaeda seems to have us on the run. Your reaction?
Well, Sean, I have friends who live in Detroit, and they would say that, yeah, Detroit, for all of the promises that this administration made about that city, not a single one of them was delivered. And where it concerns al-Qaeda, I don't know, maybe Joe Biden literally meant decimated. Only 10% of al-Qaeda was taken out, and it's that other 90%, which now has shuttering 19 different embassies and consulates. Instead of al-Qaeda running, it seems like we are.
Christy?
I would say that the entire thing that we're talking about here is that President Obama has a very strong record on national security. Everyone knows it. That is, I think, what we're really talking about right now.
All right, those talking points work very well.
That's what we're talking about.
Do you really believe that Detroit was saved? Do you really believe that? It's now bankrupt.
What I believe is you said that he ran on turning around Detroit. I think he ran on turning around the economy, and I think after 34 straight months of
Oh, he didn't mention Detroit?
He just said Detroit.
Oh, because I distinctly remember debates where he did.
Of course he has, but we're talking about Detroit as a symbol of the broader economy.
All right, we're going to leave it there.
Right.
Ladies?
Okay.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay.